Hello, everyone, and welcome to the To Hollenbach podcast. It's the To Berlin podcast this week as we welcome the new German Hull City manager and look ahead to the Euros in Germany. And Will, thanks for banning me out there. I realised what I'd done. I'd started the intro video without going live. So a shorter intro tonight. Proudly sponsored, as I'm sure that appreciate. We're very professional. These places are very professional. Kingfisher and Old Zoological Bar in Hull. And we've got two new guests tonight. Will, standard guest as well. And we've got Rod, who's actually with Will in his own house. And Tom T. Thresh, who has just been explaining something about TikTok. I don't know what that is. So do you want to just introduce yourself, guys? Let's go to you first, Rod. Just say hey. Hi.
Yeah, my name's Rod. City fan, good mate of Will. Also a big England fan, so I haven't seen Will for a while.
You go regular to England, don't you?
Yeah, I go regular to watch England. I've got our lads involved, so I hadn't seen Will properly for a while, so we thought I'd have a catch up, and then he's invited me on tonight, so I thought, show my face, have a chat about football. Maybe not so much Friday night's game, but yeah, towards the Euros. But yeah, it's good to be on.
Yeah, it was pretty dreadful. And T. Thresh at the bottom there. You want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Tom Fresh, T Fresh, Any Works. Just obviously, some of you might know me as just being the interviewer around Hull City, really. Just in questions here and there. And yeah, we're going to be doing some stuff for the Euros as well. And obviously on the podcast today, so looking forward to chatting with you guys. So.
And after the end of the season, that wasn't too great for City and sort of negativity surrounding Rossini's sacking. It's nice to be talking about a different subject, but Will, you had to remind me, we actually do have a new manager and the sort of Tim Volter press conference to talk about as well. He had some pretty bold quotes that he was made for England, and what was the other one? If you stay still, you die.
You'll die.
Bit intense. But
I mean, he was dressed up as a bodyguard, so the line fits.
Yeah, so
it was a
older press conference, but it's fine.
It was a decent first press conference. It was what you'd expect from a new manager. Nothing out of the ordinary, really. We said everything that you needed him to say. He sounded good, positive, and I mean, obviously, you can't judge it from a press conference, can you? You have to wait until they actually see the football in actual motion. So it'll be interesting, but we'll have to wait a little while at the moment. But positive first sort of viewing.
Yeah, much better sort of experience and PR time for the club than the last press conference where Adrian was slating her own players. What was your first impression, Tom?
Yeah, you know what? Someone mentioned him as a bit like a Jurgen Klopp character, and I tell you what, straight away from the first few minutes, that's what I got, and I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing what he can do, see what attacking football he can bring to City, and obviously players that he can bring in as well. I think that's a big question on a lot of our minds. What can he do for Hull? Who can he bring in? So I'm definitely interested to see what happens on his part in terms of that, really.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, one of the main traits that Rossini, positive traits, was that he seemed to be able to persuade players. Maybe Walter a bit of a more outspoken character and
absolutely. I mean, I've seen a few fans in the Hull City comments recently, just saying about how good of a manager is and how lucky we are. I'm always a positive fan. So yeah, really looking forward to it, really.
Mm-hmm. Rod, any first thoughts? Was there anything he said that you didn't like?
Not necessarily. I mean, I agree with what Tom said. Some people might not be as familiar with Tim himself if they don't watch much of the football over in Germany, but everything he said, he seems great, and I don't think he's that kind of manager to take any messing about.
No.
He don't come across as a soft character. But yeah, I mean, it's he's a new manager. You've got to back him. You've got to give him a chance. You've got to get behind the manager and just see how things go. Really, And hopefully he gets the backing off Adrian as well. And
I think he will.
Yeah, get some strength in the team, and just see how it goes, really.
I think you will get that strength. I think, with Senior, obviously a bit of a soft subject to the minute with Senior, but look at the plays that he was able to kind of get with Akun, and I think Tim will be able to do that again, and I think we'll see some quality.
Definitely, yeah.
But that's transfers or loans. I think there will be some quality, and I think all Hull City fans are pretty excited for this, because I know I am. So hopefully we'll get ourselves into the Premier League.
If we can sign some of the high-scoring players he had at Hamburg, I'd be pretty happy. I don't know whether it's at Glatzel. He's had 30 goals in the last few seasons.
He was top scorer in the second division last season, so it won't be a bad signing. Well,
I imagine the quality is probably relatively comparable between the Championship and the Bundesliga too.
It's not far off.
So, it all depends on the Chancellor as well. But, he said he'd have to wait a few months before he'd talk about what the goals are for the club, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty obvious. We've seen he's been seventh and sacked, so
I think he needs to gauge his own opinion of the players though first and get an idea of how they play in training and how they look on the field before he really knows what he's going to be able to do with them.
Yeah, so fingers crossed he's not said anything dreadful, and I'm sure we'll have more to say on him later, but with no transfer rumours really circling around.
And his whispers very, very early doors. I think with the Euros going on as well, you don't want to maybe say too much just at the minute. I just don't think it's the right time. Transfer window, I'm not sure when it opens, but I don't, it's not open yet, is it? So once that's fully open, I think that's when you can really start deep diving into the players that we could potentially get.
I believe it opens July the 14th, just after the Euros finish.
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
I think Rotherham have signed about 7 players, but I assume all of those are free agents before we actually start learning players and signing players on permanent fees. Yeah, that'll probably be a little while. So I think positivity and optimism, and I think for myself, before the Iceland game, and we've, second time we've lost to those minnows, which isn't great in 8 years now. It's probably before the tournament, the best chance England have had to win one for a long time. Obviously, we got to the final at the last Euros, but I don't know whether we were expected to. Whereas now, because of that previous experience, and the players we've got, maybe the best player in Germany, the best player in England, and best player in Spain this year with Kane, Bellingham, and Foden. The optimism is really high, but losing to Iceland, is that put a dent in any of our optimisms?
Personally, I don't think it has. Something I was listening to was said by Joe Cole, and it's that this type of game right before the Euros, you've got all these players playing, and none of them want to get injured. None of them want to get stuck in and give it their all. I think they're just they're scared for an injury. Euros is such a big thing, and it's such an honour to play for England. And I think to be injured right before the Euros, playing against Iceland, it wouldn't be great. And I do believe that is a part of the reason why we lost. Obviously, there's a few other factors within that, but I do believe that it's not the end of the world. I think we still are one of the favourites to win, and I stand by that. So interesting to see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, I felt personally it doesn't bother me loads, but I can understand why it would bother some people, because obviously losing to Iceland, who haven't qualified for the Euros, they're 74th, I think, in the world rankings, so they're below a kid there, I think, which isn't a good.
To be fair, with the way the rankings work,
I know the FIFA rankings are a bit iffy, but I can understand why people are concerned, because, like you say, it's not a good performance against a team that England really should be beating in their current state, even when the best players out on the pitch. But as Tom said, I think they were playing because they didn't want to get injured. Personally, I think they were playing. They shouldn't do. They should. When you put on the England shirt, you should play 100% every game, really, regardless of it being a friendly or a competitive game. So I think it's a bit of it's a bit of a crap excuse, but I think that is what they went with. I think that is essentially what they did. And they were just trying to avoid getting injured before, because he'd already decided every player that was there was going to the Euros. So I don't think any of them wanted to miss out on it, possibly, because he already announced his squad. So it's a bad result, bad performance. But I don't think it'll matter loads in the grand scheme of things. I'm confident England are one of the favourites for the Euros and will definitely get at least to the late into the knockout stages. I don't know if they'll win it. I see many of the teams in the tournament winning it, but it doesn't really dampen my opinion purely because Jude Bellingham wasn't on the pitch.
Yeah, it was the international break before last. Or not the one now, not the one last time. The one before that, I think we played Australia, and was it either Macedonia or Malta? I don't think he was. Bellingham was fit then, and we would look pretty shocking then. So I'm sure.
Yeah, he didn't play. I think did we beat Australia 1-0?
It was. I think we won both games real low scoring.
Against Malta. I think Watkins and Turney played. Bellingham.
They're going to be the star player for us. Like you said, he didn't play, and I think he's going to be such a big factor in England doing well.
100%, yeah.
Are we going to win? I mean, we say it every year. We say the same thing every year. No, there's a chance of us winning, but I don't know. It's a tough one. I think after that Iceland game, yeah, we can make up excuses, but it's a really tough one to say at the minute. Really tough. I think until I've seen a few games, until we played Serbia and a few of sure, really.
We'll have learned more from the Iceland game than the Bosnia game. And I think you're quite right about players getting injured. We beat Bosnia 3-0. The squad hadn't been announced. For some players, they'll play thinking, I need to play well to get into the squad. Whereas Iceland, I don't want to play too well or to exert myself too much because I'm in the squad now.
Originally, he was going to play players like Maddison, who already knew weren't going to be going to the Euros. And obviously, Maddison turned around and said, no, I'd rather just go home. Which suggests he wasn't really bothered about the match to an extent because he wasn't going to play players who aren't going anywhere.
They're actually going to the team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole provisional squad is another subject in itself, but I don't believe in it personally. I think you are wasting players' time, and I think at the same time, look at France, look what they've done. They haven't done that. They've picked the squad, they've picked the players that they want, and that's that. And I think that's how it should be, really. I don't believe in the whole provisional thing, but
I get having players. I get having players like as a backup just in case of injury, but you say you can't base who you're going to take to the Euros based on a couple of friendlies before the tournament compared to the entire season they've already just played.
Yeah, it's a really funny one, and I think there's a lot of mixed opinions on it. But personally, I do understand. Obviously, say if there is an injury, say for someone like Stones is out and we're stuck with Lewis Dunk, that type of we don't want it. We don't.
Branthwaite might get called back into the side. I think if that happens. I would have as well.
He's got a better season.
I agree.
Obviously, Maguire is injured. But
it's a shame, yeah. I agree. I think in our episode about this, when we did our squad predictions on here, I had Branthwaite in my squad, so he would have gone for me.
Yeah, Branthwaite and Maguire probably be. And Stone well, obviously, but I think them three probably the most deserved.
I'll put Gay in there as well. And that's probably as far as I go.
Of course, yeah. No, he's been doing well, and we have to remember as well.
I would like you to see that the team that has the most players in the England squad is Crystal Palace. I think that's quite funny.
Shows that the quality is probably dispersed more than it used to be, perhaps.
Yeah,
you look at the
dispersed, isn't it?
You look at the Bosnia game. I think Eze, one of our better players.
Morton, when he came on, looked great.
Yeah, if not the best player in the team. I think when Trent switched and Grealish came on, I thought would have looked a bit more lively because at first half we weren't poor as such. We was
just quiet.
Yeah, quiet. Ollie Watkins, I do rate Watkins. I think he's a great striker, but recently, when he puts an England shirt on, he goes missing. He doesn't know how to play football.
Yeah, I feel like they don't suit him. England.
And I've got that from my Fury says that all the time when Watkins puts an England shirt on, he forgets how to play football. But
then where Prime Man, I guess that's how it works sometimes. Put the English shirt on and then you can be a different player. So there he goes.
I think there's quite a few debates all over the pitch. Of course, do we play Foden as the number 10 and Bellingham a bit deeper? Or do we even go, do we go bold and play Mainu? Or do we go even bolder and play Wharton? I think I'm quite excited about the team, the sort of front six. I'm not saying we should play with 6 attacking players. I just mean not the defence, because Trippier left back and not Maguire, with how well him and Stones have done. I'm a bit concerned about the defence, but I'm just hoping that it seemed at the World Cup we were trying to outscore teams. We just put 3 past Senegal and Wales and 6 past Iran, and we played quite attacking against France. We took the game to them. That was a good 50-50 match. So I'm hoping, because of the defensive frailties we do, especially in this group, which on paper is not easy, but easier than some of the other groups.
Oh yeah,
do quite well. I mean, people talk about, you can't take the group to. You need to take every group seriously, but compared to maybe getting Croatia or Italy, teams like that, Netherlands, much happier with Denmark, who lost to Australia. Quite embarrassing.
I would argue there's only one other group I would be wanting to be in, other than this one. When I look at the actual groups,
Belgium's group.
It is, yes.
Yeah, even Portugal's is pretty solid.
I don't want to face Turkey.
No, but Czech Republic and Georgia. Yeah, but we're sort of skipping ahead of ourselves. So we are going to predict the groups, and we are actually going to put an image on the screen so we can see what the groups are. So if you haven't done any prior preparation, that's okay. But
screw the audio listeners.
Yeah, well, we can read it out. But the main thing before we get onto this is, Rod, I'll ask you, is it coming home?
That's a question to put on someone's shoulders like that.
Yeah, is it coming home?
Okay, it's going to come home. I mean,
yeah.
Looking at the squad,
Well, I believe
players we've got. We'll put it this way: looking at the players we've got and the talent that's in that team, there's no reason why it can't come home. The only doubts I've got is, will that quality get utilised? I don't know.
Pretty much.
You've got to be positive. I mean, in my lifetime of following England, I've never seen us win a trophy. So
not many people
came close in 2021, the Euro 2020. But yeah, got to keep the faith, haven't we? And hope for the best.
Yeah.
I'd say if all our players were a different nationality and they didn't have that history of failure behind them, you'd look at them from the outside and say, yeah, that's a team good enough to win the tournament.
They are one of the favourites across Europe, not just in England, which feels weird in my head.
T-Thresh, is it coming home?
Look, I think we've got to believe, haven't we? I mean, it's the same thing every 2 years. Whether that's the Euros, World Cup, we all want to believe that it's going to come home. We're all going to be there supporting. But I mean, look, France, what a great team. They are going to be my pick for the Euros, unfortunately. I don't think anyone can stop that French team. Obviously, the knocks us out in the World Cup. And I can kind of see history repeating itself on that one, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably fair.
I think it's more hope than it is expectation.
Yeah. Since you haven't asked me, I also do believe it's coming home because I have to believe it's coming home.
That's it.
I think we are one of the 2 best squads, the other one being France.
Albania.
I'd love it if Albania won it, to be quite frankly honest. If England didn't win it, that'd be hilarious. But yeah, you have to, just when you look at our squad, like you say, on paper, it is, like I say, one of the 2 best squads in the tournament, I would say, with France. And it has the ability, if they play to their strengths and play attacking and play to their ability, go forward, they should get to the semi-finals at least. And then it could be anyone's game.
Well, I do agree with Tom. I think France, they're a tough unit, and I think, if things go our way, France would be the team that could put a stop to it.
Is the how does for you guys, like any ones that you think, oh, actually they could have a chance, like
Portugal.
Portugal, yeah, that's a good.
When you actually look at Portugal's team, it's really good. And
They've got quality all over.
Yeah. Portugal, the other team, and Spain are a young side coming into it, but I think you never know with a team like Spain. But I think maybe this is a bit early for them. I think you want to look at the World Cup in 2 years in America. Well, that might be the one.
Spain are a young upcoming team, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're essentially what our squad was Euro 2021.
Maybe even 2018 World Cup.
Maybe 2018 World Cup, even, you know.
Obviously not as good.
I think, as well with being in Germany, even though they've had a bad time recently, Germany as the host in their own country, I think they'll do well personally compared to previous tournaments, just because they'll have that home field advantage.
You should think so.
Yeah. So let's go through all the groups, and most people would go A to F, but that's what.
Yes, let's go A to F. Don't be an idiot.
No, I want to go.
I've written them on my thing A to F. Let's go A to F.
Fine.
I've got mine ready.
Okay, so for the audio listeners, Group A is the hosts Germany, Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland, and so that's a pretty even group, bar Germany, who, despite having a pretty dire, 6 years, maybe even 10 years since they won the World Cup.
Tournament football, yeah.
The last time they won a knockout match was 2016.
Yeah, I mean, they got to the semis in year 2016, so I feel that's the last time they had a good tournament. So that's 8 years.
And lost to France, to Griezmann, the top scorer then. I think we're probably all going to say they're going to top the group. I've got them to top the group, but
I'd be surprised if they don't.
With Scotland, they did really well in qualifying. Hungary are a very solid team that we've found out a few times now. And Switzerland, with Shaqiri, they seem just constantly.
Well, at the last Euros, they knocked out France.
They did.
They beat them on penalties after a 3-0 draw. I mean, I think personally, Scotland have been good in qualifying, but I think they've never gone through the group stages of a tournament ever in their history. I think they've been to 8 World Cups and 4 Euros or something, and they've never got out the group stage. And because of the way the Euros are set up, where a lot of third place teams go through, it's probably the best chance they'll ever have. However, I still think they'll finish bottom of the group because screw the Scots.
I agree with that.
All right. Yeah, Rod. Any hope for Scotland?
It's hard to call, really. I hope they don't go very far in the tournament.
They've done well in recent times.
They have, that's it. I mean, before, when did we play in losses before?
It wasn't too long ago when we beat them. It was their first loss in a long time when we beat them. Yeah, it was their first loss in a long time.
Yeah,
and I think they've not lost many since then either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going Germany to top the group, and I'm actually going to go Hungary to finish second. I think they've got some top quality players, Soboslai, Galashki, and I do believe that they will come out of that group on top. You know that type. They're a bit of a dark horse team, and funny enough, I'm actually going to Hungary next week, so I'm going to be watching England Hungary. Yeah. So it's a bit. We'll be in Budapest. Hungary play Germany, which. So I'm definitely going to have a few, definitely bits of content on that. But in terms of, I do believe Hungary will make it out, and I think Scotland last. I do. I'll agree with you on that one.
Nice.
I think it'll be Switzerland personally will finish second because for similar reasons, they've got their team's a lot better than you'd think it is on paper. They've got Putika Kanji in defence. So you got Granjaka, who's had a fantastic season with Bayer Leverkusen, and they've got loads of good players in their spine. So I think they've got a really good chance of doing okay at this tournament. I don't think they'll win it, but I think they'll get out of the groups easily and maybe cause a couple of problems for whoever they get in the group in the knockouts. But yeah, I think Germany and Switzerland are definitely going to be the top two. Hungary third. They might go through as a result, as we know the third place can, depending on how well they're doing. Yeah, Scotland bottom.
Yeah, I think Switzerland have been one of the only teams that isn't what you'd call a great nation that maybe has won something before as well, that has qualified for pretty much every tournament, at least since 2014. So yeah, they've got a lot of experience and they've got players all over as well.
Shaqiri, great player. I don't know what he's up to nowadays, but I do know that they've also got people like Granit Xhaka, Sommer, Akanji. There's probably a few more players I'm missing out, and Switzerland are a strong team, and they've definitely got strong players. So I think it is bold to put maybe Hungary in second when you've got Scotland and Switzerland in the same group, and Germany. So I think this is one of them groups where it is really, at first glance, you won't think it. When you kind of deep dive into it, it's a really, really tough group.
Yeah. And then there's always a group of death. Group B, definitely group of death. Probably just for Albania though, with the third place thing. Croatia World Cup semi-finalists. Spain won 3 tournaments from 2008 to 2012, and Italy won the last Euros. So that's a very tough group for Albania, and it'll probably just be lots of draws for everyone else. But I mean, we might skip ahead to another question. Croatia could somehow still be a dark horse because everyone thinks they're too old, but they've always got a good squad. And Italy could easily flop. Their squad is basically completely different to how it was when they actually won the Euros. Pretty much all their best players in that tournament are either injured, retired, or not that good anyway. So, reckon Spain to be top of that group?
Yeah, I think Spain will be top, and I think Croatia will be second, naturally. I'm going to go out on a limb here because this is a stupid thing to say, and it's going to obviously come back to bite me on the ass. I think Albania are going to finish third.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be nice.
Yeah. Personally, I have gone. Do you know what I've gone? Spain to win the group. I think that's probably the option I think we've all just gone for there. But then I have gone Croatia in second place. I think they'll get out the group. They're just that type of team where you wouldn't really expect them to do as well as they have, but obviously being in the World Cup final previously and still having top quality players. I think they'll make it out, which obviously that leaves Italy in third, Albania in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think pretty much every prediction I've seen doesn't actually rate Italy, and I think it puts it that England could well play Croatia in the quarterfinal. So it'll be interesting to see that matchup again, and how
if they get that far.
Yeah, I mean,
don't jinx it like that.
No, that's a lot of things that need to happen by then. But
England versus Italy game.
Yeah, no, I would not like another one of those really. But no, it'd be nice to get some revenge. But yeah, Italy, they're just.
I don't think I'd mind it as long as there's no Chiellini and Bonucci. But
well, they're not going to be there.
We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, well, the last couple of times we played them in qualifying, we've won, and we've been quite well against them. Yeah. We won in their place in Naples. It was the first time we've won in Italy since the 60s, and then it was a comfortable victory over them at Wembley. Like say Bellingham ran the show, and I think that's the difference between us when we last played them in the Euros and when we play them now. I think the team, the young players who are in it, are better than they were then. I think Saka's a better player now. Bellingham obviously is now broken into the side since the Euros, and he's obviously there's a good show he'll win the Ballon d'Or at the end of the year, possibly. And I think second wise, which is a better team now than we were then.
I'd agree with that. I mean, poor Albania. I think because the Euros has expanded from 16 to 24 teams, there are, and it is an insult. It's sort of supposed to be an insult, but there are teams there literally making up the numbers to 24 from 16, and unfortunately for Albania, they could be one.
I have a feeling in 2004 you would have said, "Oh, Greece are there to make up the numbers."
Yeah, to be fair, with 16 teams, I think they've qualified over a lot of other good teams to get there. There are a lot of good teams that
Albania in qualifying actually did okay. I can't remember exactly who they finished above, but from memory, they've done quite well in the last couple of years.
Yeah. They're not a bad team, and I think they're probably going to be a bit sad that they're in that group, because I think if they were in Group E or F, I'd back them to have a solid go, or even A. But in B, yeah, probably not going to do that well. Although they're going to go there and they know that they have to be good at defending.
I mean,
it's probably all
I've just checked.
Practice beforehand.
Albania actually finished top of their qualifying above the Czech Republic and Poland, so they're not completely useless.
No,
I didn't know that, and that has put us in that group. Because you're right. I mean, they can get a few draws here and there. You never know that sometimes that's just all it takes. You know, a few draws and a lucky win. So,
yeah, absolutely. And Group C, that's the one that we're most interested in. Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, England. I think hopefully similar to Group A, the top spot is hopefully locked in and fairly obvious. Fingers crossed. And then Slovenia. I think Slovenia will probably struggle. They're not great. But Denmark, Serbia, I think that match will be a decider who finishes second. Will, you seem to like Denmark.
Denmark wouldn't win the group, obviously, mate.
I hope not. How do we see this one going? Because first match, Serbia probably front-loaded Vlahovic, Tadic, Kostic, Mitrovic, Milinkovic-Savic in midfield even.
Serbia feel like one of those sides who, on paper, should do really well but never do. Like their squad looks better than the results ever do. I don't know why.
Yeah, and they don't normally qualify for Euros either. They usually
it's rare. I mean, they finished second to Hungary in qualifying. Their group wasn't horrendous. It was Hungary, Serbia, Montenegro, Lithuania, and Bulgaria. So it's not the worst group in the world to be in. So, I mean, they got through comfortably. I feel like I said, their squad should do better than it does. But I don't think they'll. I think they'll probably finish maybe third in the group. I think they'll finish third or fourth. I think personally it'll be England and Denmark in the top two.
Denmark have got the experience, haven't they?
Yeah. That's it. They didn't have the greatest World Cup, but in the Euros, they've always been. I mean, they won it, for God's sake. They've always had a good time. And like I said, the last Euros, they were probably everyone's favourite second team at the Euros. Obviously, what happened to Christian Eriksen and all that. But I think they've still got a team, plenty of experience, plenty of ability that can easily match a lot of teams. And I think they'll be the toughest game in the group for us. But apart from that, like Slovenia and Serbia, they're a decent size, not horrendous. I think Slovenia and Denmark were in the same qualifying group, actually. So it's funny that they've both been put in the same group at the Euros.
Sight of each other.
Yeah, they finished level on points with one another as well. But I think, I have a feeling it'll be England and Denmark going through. Serbia probably third, Slovenia fourth. But obviously, could be all the groups of the Euros really. We say the group B is the group of death, but I'd say when you actually look at all the groups have, I'd say, at least 3 semi-decent sides in them.
Ooh, I don't know about Group E, but other than that,
I'd say there's still at least 3 semi-decent sides in there.
Yeah, it's really tough. I think looking back at some of the old Euros and the World Cup, it's quite easy just to point out 2 teams and go, they're going to go up and they're not. And I just think this year it really is a case of every team absolutely battling for that kind of getting out of the group, really. But
the Euros have always been. I think they've always been a much higher quality tournament than the World Cup.
Absolutely.
In the World Cup, I'm not saying that those teams are worse, but you get a lot of teams. You get the teams from Oceania and Asia and Africa, who there's still some decent teams there, but they're not the quality of like Europe and South America. When the Euros are on, it's all European teams, and almost all those teams are decent teams that could easily qualify for a World Cup if they were able to. Like almost every team in this tournament probably would do better than a lot of teams in the World Cup if they got to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with England to top the group.
Yes.
And I'll heard something about Vidic. He was talking about Serbia, obviously with Jovic, Vlahovic, Costa, all them players. Such a great attack. When you look, there's questions to be asked, really, and I think will be probably the downfall of Serbia. So that's why I'm probably going to put Serbia third and then Slovenia in fourth.
Yeah, poor Slovenia. They're the only team that were bad enough to be beaten by England in 2010. So I think we probably beat them now with an actually good squad. I don't think England have ever actually got 9 points out of a group in any major tournament ever. They've won 3 games, but that was when you got 2 points for a win. And I mean, we usually drop off in the second game. Denmark will be a tougher opponent. It could easily be 0-0 the way both teams play. I'd like to think that maybe this could be the first time we get 9 points, but then we'll probably lose all 3 games if I say that. So 7 points top of the group. Rod, any more comments?
I mean, it's the same, really. I think, what we discussed earlier about our team and stuff, we could easily top the group. Got all confidence that we could do that. Denmark, like you said, the experience, Slovenia and Serbia, I don't really know that much. I know a few of the Serbian players, but Slovenia, Serbia, third, fourth. I mean, depends who wants it the most, really. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll top the group. It's just Denmark. They're not a team to mess around with. I mean, you look at the Euros 2021. We I think beat them in extra time, didn't we? Didn't make it easy for us.
It was not an easy game. It was the hardest game at that point.
For most of that second half, we was under the cap. We was on the back foot. So yeah, the goal was to top the group.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think Group D, the group of death, Group B, Poland, Netherlands, Austria, France could be the second highest sort of consistent quality. I think Poland in pot 4 they're still a solid team, usually qualify for these sort of tournaments. And then Netherlands and France, of course, got great squads. Austria under Ralf Rangnick, I think probably a little bit revitalised. So I think maybe this is probably the closest you'd get to that sort of World Cup group where there seems to be a clear top 2 and bottom 2. But there could be an upset in there. France probably still top the group though, well?
Yeah, like I said, I would argue, like I say, we're one of the best 2 squads in the tournament. I would say they are still the best team in the world, personally. That's a really tight group for me. I know that's not really a surprise. Poland are, they only got there through the playoffs. They finished behind, I mentioned earlier, Serbia and Albania, and it's not Serbia. They finished behind Albania and the Czech Republic in their qualifying, and they got through the playoffs when they beat Wales. Austria are a decent side that not many people talk about. I think they finished top of their qualifying as well from memory.
I think they finished below Belgium.
That was it. They finished below Belgium. That's not the worst team to finish below, to be fair.
No.
The only reason I know that is
they lost 1 game, and that was probably to Belgium. They're a decent side. They did well at the last Euros. They could have easily knocked out Italy. I remember watching that. Could have easily knocked them out. So they were a decent side. They've got a couple of decent players. Obviously, David Alba's the standout overall, but again, not a team to be sniffed at. I think the Netherlands are another side that Netherlands are always flattered to deceive when you look at their ability of the players on the pitch. It's a weird one. And they're usually at tournaments, they always have a bust up somewhere in the team and they always fall apart. But I think they'll do okay. I think they'll finish second in the group behind France. I think Austria will finish third, and I think Austria will finish third and go through. And I think Poland rely on Lewandowski a bit, and he's at the end of his career now, and I don't think he can pull him out of the fire as much as he maybe used to be able to.
Tournament, really. He scored some goals, but
I fully agree on what you said. I think not going to beat around the bush. I think it is going to be France, Netherlands, and then Austria getting that. Obviously, Austria finishing third, but still.
I think they'll be the best third place team. Austria as well. So that.
Are a good little side. Also with Sabitzer as well. They're a good little team.
Yeah.
They're a good little team. And yeah, Poland, we know what they offer by a man of Lewandowski, but look, it's yeah, I mean, it's one of them groups where it's you could just look at it and say, "France, that's that."
Kicking your laptop there.
Yeah, I think I could see Austria being the worst third place team. See them getting battered by Netherlands and France potentially, but it's basically pot luck because they could do quite well and get 2 draws against France and Netherlands, lose to Poland. But yeah, you don't really know. Yeah, Ant says Krzyzki, Polish flag. Bring that up, but I think again, Poland have got probably quite a bang average squad, bar Lewandowski, and he's never really done it in a major tournament, so I could see them being bottom and
They must have kicked half 7. She messaged me at 7:24 saying they just arrived.
You know, there's another little factor in there, but I just don't think it's going to be enough for Poland, really, unfortunately.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Group E is, I mean, Belgium will now finish bottom, but Group E is the easiest.
Belgium will be delighted with that group, but I think they were delighted with the group of the World Cup and they didn't go through either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, well, yeah, they had Croatia, but Canada and Morocco still should have finished top of that. But they've got Slovakia, Romania, Ukraine. None of those three there, I would, if you put them in a solid group, I'd think any of those could be bottom and have been in previous tournaments. But yeah, this is Belgium's probably their last hurrah. Lukaku, De Bruyne, Hazard's now retired. Their best players are all quite old. And yeah, they didn't do well at the World Cup. Lukaku missed about 4 sitters and they didn't beat Croatia.
Yeah, this will definitely be the I think the last dance for Belgium. The players are just, they've never really had that kind of chemistry within the squad to do as well as they should have. Look at some of the players that Belgium have. I mean, for them to not have done well as they should. It's a bit of a shame, but I mean, looking at this group, I think they're going to absolutely fly. I think Lukaku as well is a good shout for the Golden Boot in the Euros. I think he's going to get a fair few goals. So,
yeah, he's.
I think for me with Belgium, maybe to not the same extent, but they're similar to us. When you look at the quality they've got in the squad, but they're underachieved.
Yeah, I think that it's just that they're an aged squad and we're a young squad. Yeah, we're at the start of the cycle, they're at the end of their cycle.
Maybe not our squad now, but in previous tournaments and over the years, I think. Looking at Belgium, they've not really been performing as well as what they should have done. But then again, when they played us in that double-header in March, when we played Brazil, Belgium, 2 standout players, Tielemans and Doku. But Lukaku, he's got a shout at the golden.
Their time to win the tournaments was Euro 2016 and the 2018 World Cup. And obviously they went out to Wales in 2016 Euros when they really shouldn't have done. And they should have done a lot better than they did. And the 2018 World Cup, they did get third. So they did do well. So they didn't do well. But they were there. I think their chances, their major chances, their best players, like I say, they're probably over the hill. Not necessarily over the hill ability-wise, because players like Kevin De Bruyne will always have fantastic performances in them, regardless of age. But it's the fitness idea and the injury idea. I think they'll still win the group. I mean, I disagree with what I've written for my part, to be honest. I think they'll win the group. I mean, I think Romania are slept on because they won their qualifying group above Switzerland. They were unbeaten in the qualifying group as well. They only conceded 5 goals across 10 games. They're not a horrible team. I mean, I can't name most of the players, to be quite honest.
I couldn't name anyone.
The one who played for Kirikesh, who played for Tottenham at one point many moons ago, that's probably the other one I can name. But they're not horrible, and they're not a bad team. They might be the epitome of a sort of an actual true dark horse, as in a team that no one is talking about and could do okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Ukraine
second spot is up for grabs. Third spot
Ukraine
is up for grabs.
obviously got there through the
Ukraine second.
Ukraine and Slovakia got there, I think, through the playoffs. Ukraine, the thing with Ukraine is they've got the emotional momentum for this, I feel. Obviously, with what's happening in their own nation, they've got it's similar to possibly, could be like when Denmark, obviously, Christian Eriksen collapsing on the pitch and all that. It could be sort of a thing that propels them. But it's hard to say at this point. They have got a decent side. They've got plenty of decent players. They could easily go through. I think it's a tough. I think Slovakia are unlucky because they're Slovakia are going to finish bottom for me. I've not even mentioned they'll probably finish top now. I've said that. I think it's another group. I think this is another group where 3 of the teams go through, and I think it'll be Belgium, Romania, Ukraine.
Yeah, I don't mind.
In regards to Ukraine, I think Ukraine will finish second. Like you said, with obviously what's been going on over there, I think they've got a lot of unity in the squad.
It's like the Denmark thing last time.
They can turn up.
Emotional momentum, yeah.
I mean, we found that out in the qualifiers when we played them away in Poland. They can turn up, and I think they're a tough side to break down. But with Ukraine, on the day, they can score goals. You know, you've got Mudryk, Yaremchuk, Dovic, whatever you say his name, but Yaremchuk scored a few goals.
Yarmolenko's always a good shout to do something.
And you look recently, they drew 3-3 with Germany, and they went toe-to-toe with them. Now, obviously, we know Germany's not quite what they used to be, but
still a decent side, regardless of what people think.
So for someone like Ukraine to go toe-to-toe with them, so I think Ukraine. To be fair, when we've played them in tournaments, I think it was the last Euros we won quite comfortably. But when we've played them outside of tournaments, we've struggled. They can make life hard for you. So I can see them. I can't see them finishing above Belgium. I think second place, but I don't think they'll make life easy for Belgium. I can see them getting a 2-2 draw against Belgium.
Yeah, something like that.
Right, we're going to have to kind of bag Slovakia and Romania to top the group. So I don't think you should underestimate Ukraine.
Ukraine's finished there. I've got that on my screen as well. I think, like I say, with the players that they've got, and especially what's going on, I think for them to qualify it's fair. You know, it's a fair shout, really. Yeah,
absolutely. And then Group F, again, probably a relatively easy one for Portugal, who do have a very good squad. Georgia,
possibly.
Georgia literally again making up the numbers.
That's not fair.
And it isn't fair, but in that sort of context where 24, not 16.
To be fair, Georgia, you could argue it because they finished 4th in their qualifying group and advanced through the Nations League playoffs. They finished behind Norway, who didn't even qualify. Obviously, didn't qualify. They got 8 points in qualifying, Georgia. And I think I remember I think they beat Greece on penalties to get to the tournament. Yeah, they did. They beat Luxembourg and then they beat Greece to actually get to the tournament. So you're probably right. They're probably going to finish bottom of their group, but you never know with stuff like this. But I think Portugal, good side. I think they are a side that should not be messed with. I think the World Cup, obviously, they maybe underachieved at the World Cup. They could have got further. Obviously, Morocco knocked them out, but they did quite well with what they had. I think, obviously, Ronaldo, even though he's in Saudi Arabia, he's still going to be a massive impact player for them on the day. They've got players like Bruno Fernandes in midfield and Bernardo Silva and Vitinha, and they've got so many players who, when you actually look at their squad, it's so good. It's such a good squad. It's whether they can all work together, and I think that's always been Portugal's problem in the past, is that they've had a lot of talented players, but they've never really worked properly as a team. And obviously they won the Euros in 2016, but that always felt underwhelming to me. They somehow won it playing. So they felt a very lucky side. Obviously, I'd love England to have that luck and win a Euros that way, but it always felt a bit weird the way that they won that Euros. But I think they're a miles better side now than they were then. The side they've got now would have won that Euros probably comfortably the way that they play. Czechia, Czech Republic, whatever you want to call them, They're okay. They finished behind Albania in the qualifying. They've still got some decent players, and obviously they've got the top scorer of the last year as Patrick Schick up front, which is always a good player to have because he's been good for Leverkusen this season when he's been called upon. Obviously, they're still a decent side when it all ends up. He'll obviously rely on him a little bit, but I think they'll do okay. And Turkey, I remember dark horses at the last Euros and did absolutely awful. They didn't have a good time, and unfortunately, there won't be a Hull City player in their squad because Abdul got dropped from the provisional squad, so there isn't going to be a Hull City player there. But they finished top of their qualifying group above Croatia, so they are mugs. It's just whether they can actually translate it to the actual tournament. I don't think they'll fall like they did at the last tournament because Georgia's in the group. I think they'll get through the group. I think they'll finish top 2 of the 2. I'd like to see them beat Portugal. I don't think they will. I think, again, this group, like the Belgium-Romania one, I think is another group. The last 3 groups, we've said, I think it's another group where the top 3 go through again. And I think Turkey, Portugal, and Czechia go through.
Yeah, I think I do obviously agree with what you said about Portugal. We all know the quality Portugal have. It's clear to see. I think the real question is who's going to finish second, and I've gone for Czech Republic over Turkey. I just think what they have done in the past Euros and stuff, the quality they've got, Souček, Koufal, the quality's there for Czech Republic. But just one of them teams where they're a bit lost with Portugal. So mentioned about the 3 teams Group F, where if it's not Czech Republic,
I think that Georgia will probably finish bottom, and even though they didn't get through the playoffs, that Turkey-Czech Republic game basically is a playoff game to see who gets second, I'd say, because they're probably both going to beat Georgia and Portugal. I have Portugal to actually finish. We'll get to the final and probably lose to England or France, whoever it is going to be, because I think it'll probably be, if things go as they're planned, it'll probably be a France-England semi-final. And it says Tufan and Amur robbed. Yeah, Turkey.
I am very surprised Tufan wasn't at least in the provisional squad.
I mean, if he'd been there throughout the season, it would be a surprise, but he hadn't been.
Yeah, I suppose.
Manager doesn't rate him. And he's not started like every single game for us, has he? But he's had a good end to the season, certainly, in that sort of false 9 position. So, yeah, shame that. But, no.
I mean, on Turkey as well, what does help them is as well, they've got, what's he called at Real Madrid? Yeah.
Excuse me.
Who's a great player.
Nice.
Ardagula, I think it's called, isn't he?
Ardagula, it's not like that. No, he's brilliant. I mean, Turkey have got quality. We all know about, obviously, Çalhanoğlu as well. He's been great for Inter. And, Yildiz as well. Yildiz. Like I say, it's just one of them groups where, I know Georgia are in there, but it is just a bit of a heads and tails between Czech Republic and Turkey.
Absolutely. I'd agree with that. I mean, it's so very difficult to tell, but do we have any predictions on top scorer for the whole tournament?
Yeah.
No, I haven't written anything down because it's always someone you don't know.
Yeah, I've personally I've gone with Lukaku just for the fact that the group, I think their group is the easiest one. I'm not saying it is an easy group, but it is, if you kind of compare, it's probably one of the easier ones. I just think they will be getting a few goals. And also their number 9, Romelu Lukaku. I can see them going. I can see Belgium going maybe to the semi-final. So I think there'll be a few goals on Lukaku's side there. And I mean, we look at the Euros before with Schick. So I think,
I predict it'll be. I predict it'll be a player, not a big nation, who's top scorer. But since we have to name someone, I'll just play it safe and say Mbappe because he's Scores off one for France, regardless of the results.
Yeah, no, it's a fair. I think a lot of people would go Mbappe.
Rod, you going to say Harry Kane and it's coming home?
Go on.
I think it took until, was it the Germany game? For
I was going to say, I don't think Kane will be our top scorer at this tournament. I think Jude will be.
The last Euros, I don't think Kane scored.
Sterling was our scorer, really.
Sterling, I don't think Colin Phillips, they were the best players.
No,
I'm not going to go for Harry Kane. Yeah, I'd probably go between Mbappe and Lukaku.
Lukaku's not a bad shout because of that group, to be fair.
I mean, I'd agree with you though. With it could be somebody.
It'll be someone who's not an imagination. I believe it'll be, but we don't know for certain. I mean, Patrick Schick could do it again for all we know.
Yeah. Anyway,
he's doing all right. He's done it right. Leverkusen.
I would have said Lyndon Dykes of Scotland, but I don't think he's in the team, is he? I think
McTominay.
It won't be Scott McTominay. No. Anyway, I've gone Kai Havertz.
Yeah,
that's not a bad shout. He's picked up his form at Arsenal. That's not a bad shout. He'll probably be leading the line for Germany.
I was sort of going for it because I thought it was a bad shout, but if Germany,
I don't think that is a bad shout at all. Because Germany don't really have a striker anymore at the moment. I mean, they do, but they don't really play like they have one. They don't call up many of them, and I think he's going to be the main outlet for them.
Their top scorer for their last two tournaments, I think, with just 2 each.
Yeah.
Each tournament. So yeah, it could well be him, to be honest.
I mean, when you look at their squad, you look at their forwards that have been called up. They've got Havertz there. They've got Fulkrug, who's had a good season at Dortmund, to be fair. And they've got Thomas Muller, who's always usually reliable, to be fair, but he doesn't score as many as he used to. No. We've got Maximilian Bayer, who played for Hoffenheim. He's only had 1 cap, and the other one is Dennis Undav, who's only had 2 caps at Stuttgart. They're ones who were only just newly brought into the side, so they're not ones you think about off the top of your head. But when you look at their squad, I mean, there's plenty of players in there who could score goals. Like I said, they've got Toni Kroos in there, Musiala in there, Verts, Sane, Havertz. To be fair, like I said, Germany on paper should be getting very far in the tournament, especially with them being at home.
Yeah, Verts is Euros where he's going to.
Florian Verts had a great season at Leverkusen.
He's
hasn't had a good season.
That's true. That is true.
Remarkably well until what's his name, Lookman.
Ademola Lookman, formerly of Charlton and Leicester.
Lookman just came about. I think this is my problem. I've not really done my research. It was a bit of a last minute.
I invited you on like the last second to be
last second. I thought, right, okay, I need to think top scorer. And then when you get put on the spot, you can't think of anyone but Mbappe.
It's a good shout, but like I say, it's usually at Euros. It is usually someone who you're not expecting. There's always a couple of players at the teams that are not nowhere near the favourites who get a few goals and always do well and get a move somewhere, and then don't do as well for the next couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Griezmann, France is top scorer.
Yeah, like Valencia's moved to the Premier League after having a pretty good.
Griezmann's France's all-time top scorer.
No, Mbappe is.
Is he?
Yeah.
We've sort of gone through them, but I think the flop, to me, it's quite obvious. I think it'll be Italy to be a flop and a dark horse. I know some of you, and I think, and Joe actually put Hungary, which I could definitely see.
I originally wrote Croatia for my dark horse because they never actually rated, even though they do well at tournaments. But I've changed my mind. I'm going to pick Romania.
Yeah,
just because no one's expecting that one.
I think they could easily be bottom of that group, but that's why it's a dark horse.
Well, that makes them a true dark horse because no one is expecting them to do well.
That's not a dark horse. That's just a shock. I think a dark horse is someone that is actually rated somehow. But yeah, T-Thresh, any dark horses for you?
Honestly, my dark horse, it has to be Hungary. It does. I honestly believe that they're just that type of team. You never expect them to do as well as they do. But each time they just, defy the odds and keep going. And I do believe that they can make the round of 16. I think they'll do it.
Fair enough. So, any closing comments as we just reached the hour mark?
Well, you asked us for a best player as well, to be fair, when you asked me before.
Oh,
and I've written down Jude Bellingham. Yeah, just because I want it to be.
Yeah,
he's the best player in Spain. He's been the best player. You can make an argument. There's been many good players, but like I say, he's probably at the moment favourite to win the Ballon d'Or at the end of the year. There's a couple of players who you can argue with colours as well. But at the moment on form, he's probably the best player in the world. But we've seen that in a Real Madrid shirt. Can he translate it? I mean, we've seen it in an England shirt before in qualifying as well. We've seen him do those performances, like against Italy. I remember the one at Italy against Italy at Wembley. It was fantastic, in particular. Yeah, but it's whether he can do it in the tournament. I wanted him in the England squad back at the last Euros. I think I said on this podcast that as well. I think I had him in my starting 11, so it's nice to see him finally in there. But I think. Yeah, it's probably be an obvious shout when it comes to a best player. Him and Mbappe, probably the obvious shouts for it, but they're obvious for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I've Mbappe is a generic, kind of obvious shout. But look, you know, he's one of the best players in the world, and I think with this move going to Real Madrid, I just think it's just gonna top it off. I think if I couldn't pick Mbappe for whatever reason, then I would pick Wirtz for Germany. Obviously, we've gone over Germany. What a great team they've got with Havertz. Obviously, some of the defence, Rudiger, Tar. I think Wirtz is a great player. So, I'd pick Wirtz.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think, we should probably start wrapping this up. Rod,
did you actually ask us what our flops were as well, or did you just say Italy and then move on?
It'll be Italy, won't it? Haven't we all got Italy?
I've written three names down. Some of them are actually predicted to get out the group, but I've written them down as a precaution just in case they don't get out of the group. I've written Italy, but I've also written Belgium and the Netherlands because like I say, they're an age team, even though they are still a golden generation. They always have that iffy. You never do, and the World Cup really threw that mystique into doubt. The way that they played the World Cup, I still think they'll probably get out of the group, but playing it safe, there could be a flop. And the Netherlands like to have an absolute meltdown at a tournament every now and then, and they've not had one for a while from memory. So this might be the time they do it.
Yeah, I think Belgium, they could still be a flop, even though they win the group, because they might lose in the round of 16, which, yeah, I think that makes sense. T-Thrish, any obvious flops to you?
Flops, yeah, I think you've mentioned it. Italy, I mean, winning the Euros before, to not potentially making it out of the group, I think that's got to be the big flop for me.
Mm-hmm. Rod?
No, I've got to be fair,
nothing different. Yeah,
I can't really. I mean, all the other teams that I think will have a poor tournament, we've spoke about them having a poor tournament.
You'd expect them to be lower down, yeah.
So, I mean, saying that with Italy, you kind of expect Italy to have a bit of a poor tournament anyway. I think Denmark will have the worst one out of them all.
Another fucking one.
Hopefully Scotland don't even score a goal.
Yeah, hopefully Scotland are a flop. Actually, yeah. Hopefully Scotland are the flop of the tournament.
Lose 5-0 to Germany in the opening match.
Oh, that'll be delightful. That'll be a delightful Friday night next week.
Yeah, certainly. So
that's just the kind of game. Scotland Germany's the kind of game where England fans will be in the pub and they'll wish, can both teams lose?
I don't know. I'll be fully on Germany's side.
Yes, I suppose. Yeah, just Scotland.
At the same time, because of the way the tournament's gone, the way Germany have played in recent tournaments, and the way Scotland have played in qualifying, I would not be surprised if Scotland won it. I'm not saying I want them to. I just wouldn't be surprised.
No.
And I hope I'm completely wrong on that.
Wouldn't hear the fucking end of it.
No.
That's true. Yeah. Well, T-Thrish, you just want to shout out all your TikTok stuff one last time?
Yeah. So on TikTok, T-Fresh, just so I've got it. No, so it's written there. Also been doing a lot of interviews and a lot of stuff like that. and definitely a lot more to come. There's going to be a lot more in the future, and no, I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest. So if you're at Hull City, just take a walk around the stadium. You'll probably see me with a camera and a microphone. So obviously, just come and say hi. We'll have a nice little chat, and yeah. So
awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah.
Rod, same to you.
Good first
No problem. I mean, I've not really said much, but I've just come on and then my mind's gone blank. And then Nathaniel's asked the question. I thought I don't know what to say, but no, it's been a pleasure.
I've got a couple of things to quickly shout out. Firstly, Matchwinner. If anyone's watching, I'm wearing the new 1990 free jacket that they just released as part of that collection, retro collection. It's ace, and I can't wait for them to bring out more stuff. I'm really glad City again on that retro bandwagon, and hopefully they get. I mean, it's probably going to be only the first of a few, because obviously it's only one. And Matchwinner did do a few decent kits for City, including the tiger print shirt. So hopefully it's the first in a lot one. And the other thing I wanted to say is we've now got a Discord. If anyone uses Discord at all, it's just a nice little place for people to chat about Hull City and chat about anything really, to be fair. I'll put a link in the description for it if anyone wants to join it and just have a chat. Me and Ant are on it. I think Tom's on it as well. I don't know if any of the rest of us are, but they should be if they're not. Nathaniel. But if anyone wants to, like I say, I'll put the actual Discord link in the description below if you want to join and have a chat with us outside of the podcast.
Awesome. Well, good shout out as well. Thanks for everyone who's watched and liked and commented today. And we'll be back next week as England.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt with a shameless plug. I'm writing a Euro 2024 preview for the Hull's Gazette if you live east of Hull and the village out that way. And I'm writing that if you actually want to read some more of my rambling. So I'm just going to use this opportunity to have a cheap plug for myself.
Nice. I'm going to shut you up now.
Fair enough.
It's been the first Berlin and back of the year, and we'll be back hopefully after a wonderful, 10-0 win against Serbia to put all the doubters wrong. And
I mean, I don't think we'll be on next Sunday. We probably won't be on next Sunday because that's when England play. So we'll probably be on during the week, I imagine.
During the week, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll be back pretty soon.
Been good.
Auf Wiedersehen.